Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today we're going to be talking about who the Memphis Grizzlies could potentially hire as their next head coach after firing in a very surprising firing today, firing Taylor Jenkins. No one expected that coming. This is only the second time in NBA history it's happened before where 9 or 10 games left in the season in that area. At the end of the season, and a team that is in playoff position fire their head coach. It's only happened one other time in NBA history, and so it was shocking to see Taylor Jenkins fired. Look, I'll tell you, I said this earlier when I did my video on him being fired. I think if they decided to wait until a playoff exit potentially, and you look, Memphis right now, you're in the 5 seed. You got to play a Lakers team. You might have to play a Denver team, or Rockets team. Those are all teams that Memphis has not matched up great against this season. Memphis is 1-3 against the Rockets this year. Only win they had against the Rockets, they didn't have Alperen Şengün. They haven't matched well, to the Lakers as well this season, or a couple years ago lost it to them in the playoffs. Or they don't really match well, against the Nuggets either. And they're going to face one of those teams most likely in the playoffs. The Warriors, it's possible they can meet up against the Warriors. I think it's unlikely. You'd have to see a way where the Warriors somehow got up to the 4 seed, and then the Grizzlies were the 5 seed, or there is a way where Memphis, if they were to start clicking and were to potentially move up to the 3 seed and the Warriors finish the 3 seed, maybe they can match up against the Warriors. That might be a better matchup for Memphis in the postseason compared to all the other teams I mentioned. I think that for this Memphis team, I don't think it's going to go well for them in the playoffs, regardless if they had Taylor Jenkins or not. Whether he's the head coach or it's someone else, whether it's the interim or whoever, I don't think things are going to go well for Memphis in the playoffs, and they're most likely a first-round exit. I think if you were to part ways or fire Taylor Jenkins after that totally makes sense. But you have a better chance in a first-round playoff series, who you're facing, whether it's the Rockets, the Nuggets, the Lakers, or the Warriors or whoever. Technically they could end up playing the Clippers. Who knows? So you have not a great chance. I think in the first round with this Memphis team, if Taylor Jenkins is your head coach, but at least you have a very solid head coach like Jenkins to lead the team, who's done a great job. I mean, if Jenkins would have finished out his season this year in Memphis, it would have been 4 seasons to the postseason, 4 seasons to the postseason out of 6 seasons. I mean, he has coached them up to the postseason. So, yes, he's led to their, he's done. Sure, they've struggled as of recently, but they played a lot of great basketball early on in the season, and he had a lot of great coaching. So, that they're going to be in the postseason partly because of, the good coaching he has had earlier on the season that has got them to the point now of being 44-29. So, So the 4 postseason trips in 6 years for Taylor Jenkins, you have a much better chance with him than compared to an interim head coach that has no experience coaching in the NBA. Look, I know if you look at a team with the Sacramento Kings, who, funny enough, we're going to get into him in just a minute with Mike Brown. They fired Mike Brown, and they named Doug Collins, who didn't have any head coaching experience before this in the NBA. They named him the interim head coach. That worked out for Sacramento. They've played better basketball since firing Mike Brown and trading away De'Aaron Fox. And they've improved since then. Their record has been better. But even that has happened, I mean, they still got rid of a really bad head coach, a really good head coach in Mike Brown, and took a gamble with, taking a chance on an interim. And that worked out for Sacramento because Collins did start doing a good job, and we've seen Sacramento change things in their team since firing since firing Mike Brown and having Doug Collins take over. But I don't think that's a different story if you're a team in the postseason. It's going to be hard, I think, for Memphis. So I don't think if Memphis doesn't have a lot of playoff success, if they lose in the first round, I know they got a new interim head coach. I don't think it will be a long-term stay for their interim head coach. So you got to look at candidates that could take over in Memphis. I got a couple that I'm going to bring up. Now, the first one I'm going to bring up is Dave Edelman from Denver. He's been an assistant for them since 2017, from 2017 through 2024. His father, Rick, was an NBA head coach for a long time, so he's got the NBA DNA of coaching, and so he could be a good option. He's been a guy that, has been an assistant for a long time, going back to 2016, was with the Magic for the 2016-17 season, then has been with Denver ever since then. Got some, looks last year at head coaching jobs. I know the Lakers were kind of a little bit interested in him. I know some other teams were looking at him. I think he could get some looks again this season. I don't know. I look at Dave Edelman, it's Edelman or Adelman, and I look at him, and he looks like the fit for the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't think he's the guy that they should have, he should be the number one candidate, but he just looks like someone Memphis would hire. So the next guy I want to go over to, and I'm saving the last who I think is the best fit for this Memphis Grizzlies team. Next guy I want to go to is Kevin Young. I think this could be there's some reasons why I think this could be a great hire for Memphis. Kevin Young is the current BYU coach. BYU did lose yesterday in the Sweet 16 to Alabama, and he had a really good season this year at BYU. Led them to the Sweet 16. A lot of people had them as first round exits, but he led them to the Sweet 16, and was the assistant head coach the last 3 seasons in Phoenix with the Phoenix Suns, the 3 seasons prior to this. And the reason why I think Kevin Young could be a great hire, and this is what I will say, we heard at the trade deadline, right after the trade deadline was over, that Memphis and Minnesota were 2 teams that talked to Phoenix about Kevin Durant deals. Kevin Durant, I know, was found of, had a good relationship with Kevin Young, and he was a guy that he really liked, on the Phoenix staff when he was in Phoenix, when Kevin Young was still in Phoenix, and Durant was in Phoenix as well. And if Kevin Young is coaching in Memphis, you got John Morant in Memphis. I don't know what you'd have to give up in a KD deal, but and that's where it gets interesting, because you got young guys like Jalen Wells, Zach Edey, Desmond Bane, all these young guys. I don't think you have to give up Jaren John deal like a Kevin Durant deal, but I know Phoenix is going to want a young player. Who would Memphis be able or be willing to, get rid of in that deal for Kevin Durant? But I think Kevin Young might help you get Kevin Durant if Memphis is still interested in trading for Kevin Young in the offseason. Next guy I want to go to is another Phoenix guy, Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel has not just been in Phoenix. I mean, he spent 1 season in Phoenix last year in the 2023-24 season, and the team went 49-33, and then he got fired after they got swept in the first round. Then he spent 3 seasons in Los Angeles. The team went 127-98. They won a championship in his 3 seasons. He also spent 6 seasons with the Pacers, where the team went 250-181, and he was with the Magic for 2 seasons. The team went 54-110. He also, in his career, has been to the NBA playoffs a total of, I think, has been in the playoffs a total of most of his NBA seasons. He's coached a total of 12 seasons in the league, and each one, I want to say each, yeah. Most of his the only 2, there's only been a couple seasons in his coaching career since coaching and being a head coach in 2010. There've only been a couple seasons where he's not in the postseason. 2014-15 season with Indianapolis, 2016-17 season, both seasons in Orlando, and the 2021-22 season. So he's been in the postseason for 8 of his 12 NBA seasons as a head coach. he has been in the postseason. So Vogel could be an option for this. He could be an option for this Memphis Grizzlies team. But if you want to trade, you want to trade for Kevin Durant, I wouldn't suggest hiring Frank Vogel. And then another guy we'll go to, I said he would be brought up, Mike Brown. This could be a solid option. Mike Brown, spent the last 3 seasons in Sacramento. And this, like I said, this year with Sacramento, it was rough. The first 31 games, the team went 13-38, and they decided to fire him. And I was talking about how they've had improvements ever since he left. They're 36-37 now. So 23-19. Is that right? Yeah, 23-19 since they decided to let go of Mike Brown. But you look at the seasons prior to that, where the Kings did have success with Mike Brown, went 46-36 in the 2023-24 season. In the 2022-23 season, they went 48-34, and they were the 3 or 4 seed. They were I know they weren't. I know that season that the Nuggets were the 1 seed and the Grizzlies were the 2 seed. I think the Kings were the 3 seed that year. I'm pretty sure the Kings were the 3 seed in the 2022-23 season, but it might have been the 4 seed. Mike Brown brought the Kings back to the playoffs. The team went 48-34, and they did go to 7 games with Golden State Warriors, and Stephen Curry put on a crazy performance in Game 7 to eliminate the Kings. You want to go back to, he had 6 seasons with Cleveland. The team went 305 and 187 in his 6 seasons with Cleveland before they brought in Tyronn Lue. They had some really good seasons. He was with LeBron, and they went 66-16. And went to the finals as well. Led the Cavs to the finals with LeBron in the 2006-07 season. They did get swept by the Spurs, but that was in the 2006-07 season. So I just think that Mike Brown is a good veteran head coach who's taken a team to the finals before, has a lot of experience, has been coaching since 1997. He could be a good option. So I think you've got a lot of coaches that I've mentioned that are very experienced. But the guy I would love to see Memphis hire the most I'm a little biased. Sam Cassell. I'm a Rockets fan. I wasn't alive when Sam Cassell played for the Rockets, but I've seen highlights. Amazing. Now, we're not going to talk about, how a guy played on the court, when him potentially becoming a head coach. But I maybe was not able to watch and witness Sam Cassell as a player, but I've watched and witnessed Sam Cassell as an assistant head coach, or assistant coach, and he's done a great job. He's been getting head coach interest all the way back when he was with the Clippers. He was with the Clippers from the 2014-15 season to the 2019-20 season. And I remember after that 2019-20 season was over, his last year in LA, the Rockets had just fired Mike D'Antoni, another guy who's been linked to this Memphis job. I just decided not to talk about him. And, the Rockets had just fired Mike D'Antoni. Sam Cassell was a guy that the Rockets had interest in potentially bringing. And then you also had other teams that offseason looking at Sam Cassell, and there have been many off seasons where teams have looked at him. I mean, he spent a couple seasons in Philadelphia, but the last 2 seasons has been with Boston, and he's been in the spotlight in Boston where he was an assistant coach and part of the staff of a championship winning team, and then again this year on a team that could be another championship team. The Celtics will have some more challengers this year with OKC and Cleveland, but so I think he's done a great job in Boston as assistant coach, and Sam Cassell needs his chance as an NBA head coach, whether it's in Memphis or it's somewhere else. I want Sam Cassell to get this job in Memphis. I think he's the best fit for this Memphis job, but if it's not Sam Cassell, I think you have to look at guys like Kevin Young and Mike Brown. Not only because I think Kevin Young can be a great head coach, but I think he can help you get KD. And Mike Brown, I think, is just a terrific head coach and would be great for this Memphis team. So I think the top 3 candidates have to be Sam Cassell, Mike Brown, and Kevin Young. You look at other guys like Dave Adelman, Frank Vogel, Mike D'Antoni potentially, or the potential interim head coach that just took over. So let me know your thoughts on Memphis's potential, coaching job? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and peace out.